Is it possible to use the leverage of the U.S. government to be able to actually get your way with creditors and the collection agencies and the credit bureaus? Well, it absolutely is, as long as you understand my tips. My name is Monica Main. I'm about to share with you something that will probably completely blow your mind, so buckle up your seatbelts because here we go. Okay, so you might have watched some of my other credit videos where I talk about how to do the rounds of disputes over and over again. In fact, I've given you access to my free dispute letters. If you don't have them yet, please go into the description area down below, and I will be more than happy to share with you my tested and proven dispute letters that you can have for free as a free download. But maybe you've been doing round after round after round with these credit bureaus and with these collection agencies and creditors, and maybe some of the stuff is simply not coming off. What do you do? Well, this is one of my favorite strategies, because whenever you deal with involving any kind of government agency, this is when a lot of the credit bureaus in particular, but also creditors, will begin to run for cover. And the reason that they start to run for cover is because many times these bureaus, these departments in the government, will go after some of these creditors, collection agencies, and even the credit bureaus for non-compliance with credit law and credit statutes. And so that's why I absolutely love getting and sicking the U.S. government onto some of these creditors, collection agencies, and credit bureaus, because it is so freaking effective, okay? So you're probably wondering, well, how do I do this? Well, it's very, very easy. And the cool thing is you can absolutely do this 100% online. You don't have to write letters to anybody, although I like to do it that way. But you can do everything online. And so what you can do is, once you go through your rounds of disputes, if there's something that's not coming off your credit, say for example, let's just use an example. Say you have some kind of collection for some cell service that you have. Say it's like T-Mobile, and there's a collection agency that's just not coming off. And you've been trying all these disputes, and for some reason this particular thing is not coming off of your credit. And you know you don't owe that money, or maybe you thought you owed $1,000 and now it's so compounded with fees and all this other stuff that maybe it's $2,500, and you just know that that's not what you owe, and everything that you're doing is just simply backfiring. Well, there's a way that you can actually utilize the leverage of the government to be able to get your way with the creditors, collection agencies, and the credit bureaus all at the same time. So years ago, it was actually called a different department. It was actually FTC, where you would actually file your complaints with the federal government, and now it's different. It's actually the CFPB. And the CFPB, which stands for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, it's located at consumerfinance.gov. So when you go to consumerfinance.gov, you can actually file a complaint against any creditor, against any collection agency, and against the credit bureaus themselves, which include Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can literally file a complaint against everyone. Now, I recommend that you do file a complaint against these entities separately. So you should do a separate complaint for every single one. So say, for example, it's a collection agency that's collecting on behalf of T-Mobile or whatever the original creditor is. You'd file a complaint against the collection agency, and then you'd file a separate complaint against the credit bureaus, all three of them. They would all have to be separate. So a complaint against Experian, a complaint against TransUnion, a complaint against Equifax, all separate, because none of them are in compliance as far as getting this debt off of your credit. So this is what I love about this, is that you use the leverage of the U.S. government to scare them into removing these things off the credit. So now it's not just a matter of them answering to you anymore, because they feel like you're just a little peon and they can care less on what you think about what they're doing. But the very moment that you wise up and you start to use the full thrust of the U.S. government, you now have an advantage. And now they know that you know how to work the system. And so then they have to think really hard about what the debt is that they're keeping on your credit and if it's really legitimate or not. And so they might not decide to mess around with it anymore. In many cases, the credit bureaus in particular might just take it off. At least two of the three, in the very least, one of the three will take it off. They're like, I don't want to deal with this, this government agency. because in years past, many of these government agencies were fined millions and millions of dollars for non-compliance of the federal credit statutes. Same with collection agencies and same with creditors. So nobody really wants to take that risk anymore because it's too expensive for them to go toe-to-toe with the U.S. government, because they're always in a losing proposition anyway. Whoever wins against the U.S. government, like nobody, okay? So that's one way of doing it. Now, in addition to filing these online complaints with the federal government, you should also consider filing a complaint with the Attorney General. There's going to be a lot of Attorney Generals involved because it has to be directly pertaining to where the creditor collection agency or credit bureau is located, in addition to your own state. So for example, if you're like me and you live in the state of Florida, one Attorney General letter will be an Attorney General letter against the 3 credit reporting bureaus, which would be Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. There would be a separate letter filing a complaint against the creditor or collection agency. And yes, it would be in the state of Florida, even though the creditor or collection agency might be somewhere else. So say the collection agency is in New York, okay? So even though the collection agency is in New York, I would still file in the state of Florida where I live, because they're harming me in the state of Florida, right? So I'm the one being harmed in my state, and so therefore I could file a complaint against the creditor in New York, even though I'm in Florida. And then what they'll do is, if it's not going to the right government agency, the cool thing is they will forward it to the appropriate state governing agency that handles credit in particular, if you're not sending it to the right one. So don't worry about not sending it to the right one, because every state has different compliance, different statutes and regulations as it pertains to credit. So you just send it to the Attorney General in your state. Next, you're going to send it to the Attorney General in the state where the creditor or collection agency exists. So say, for example, they are in New York. So then you send a complaint to the Attorney General in New York or wherever they're located. And you can do this online. You can do it by way of physical letter. I personally like to spend the money and do a certified letter, which means that you go to the post office, you do like a little letter, and you have that green card attached to the envelope, and on the back of the green card is your name and address. So then that way they could pop it in the mail the very moment that they get a signature from the Attorney General's office. That's when they know that you're really serious. Is that necessary? No, you can still do it on the line. I just find that I've had much more success when I have physical mail going out instead of just doing it online, okay? So then you file it with New York, and then that's as far as it goes when it comes to the actual creditor or collection agency. Now, if it's not coming off your Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, then you're going to have to file Attorney General complaints against each one of those credit bureaus. So for example, Experian is located in Texas, so then you file a complaint to the Attorney General in the state of Texas against Experian. Then you have to file a complaint with the Attorney General in Pennsylvania against TransUnion, and then you have to file a complaint against with the Attorney General against Equifax in the state of Georgia, because that's where Equifax is located, in Georgia. And then of course, again, you would have to file 3 different complaints with the Attorney General in your home state. So if you live in Florida, you would have to file 3 additional complaints in the state of Florida, one against Experian, one against Equifax, and one against TransUnion, because you yourself in this state where you live, you're being harmed. And so even though they're located outside of that, you are being harmed in your home state where you reside right now, if that makes sense. So yes, it's a lot of complaints, but the very moment all this government complaint activity starts hitting, then the credit bureaus and the creditors and collection agencies have to sit themselves down and go, is this pain in the ass worth it? If it's only a debt that's a few $1,000s, many times they'll be like, yeah, no, let's just delete it off of his file or her file, because it's just not worth our time to continue dealing with this flurry of all this government activity, and we just would rather just delete the file altogether. So that's one way of being able to get all the stuff off of your credit that's just simply not budging. Now, I do recommend that you do your round of disputes, at least 3 rounds of disputes, which I talk about at great length in many of my other videos. So I recommend that you check out my other credit videos to find out exactly how to get these things off. I do allow you to download my free dispute letters. You can check it out in the description box, getdisputeletters.com, and you can get my free dispute letters. You have to do 3 rounds of those with Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Don't mess around with collection agencies or the credit bureaus don't send them anything in the mail. You only focus on the credit reporting bureaus first. You send them a copy of your driver's license and a copy of 2 utility bills, ideally, that have your current address on there. If you do not have your current address on your driver's license, please go to the DMV and go update your damn address. It's not that difficult to do, and it just offers legitimacy when you send a copy of your driver's license with your current address in the dispute letters to be able to validate the fact that it's really you sending the letters and not some, quick fix credit, company that is doing it on your behalf. And then if you've moved in the last 2 years, you want to also offer in the letter, I usually do it below the signature line at the very bottom, what your last address was in the last 2 years. And so you basically do 3 rounds of the 3 letters. Again, you can find the free letters in the description box. It's a free download. And you do those 3 rounds of disputes first. And once you do that, you're going to find that some things will fall off your credit, some things will update, some things will be deleted. And then you're left with what was not touched, what was not deleted, or what was not updated in your advantage, to your advantage. And then you tackle that with the government complaints, which would then obviously start with the federal government and then, of course, with the state attorney generals. So this is powerful stuff because, again, the creditors, the collection agencies, the bureaus especially don't want to deal with any government agency. So therefore, they'll notice all of these letters pouring in from these different government agencies. And then if you want to throw the Better Business Bureau in there on top of that, that just adds more fuel to the fire. So you might want to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau of where the collection agency or creditor is located. So for example, if the creditor is located in New York, then you want to find that Better Business Bureau, file a complaint with that Better Business Bureau for their violation of the Fair Credit Act, which is the FCA, Fair Credit Act. And so you basically file the complaint against the creditor in New York or wherever they're based with that Better Business Bureau. And then you do the same thing with the credit bureaus as well. You file a BBB complaint with Experian, which is located in Texas. I believe it's Allen, Texas. And then TransUnion, which is located, I believe, in Union, Pennsylvania. And then Experian, which is located in Atlanta, Georgia. And you basically file those BBB complaints in those areas, and you can do all that online as well. And that's just more paperwork, more letters, more stuff that's coming through. And you always cite the fact that they're in violation of the FCA, which is the Fair Credit Act, which is a government statute. And so when they're getting all of these letters on your behalf about your issues with these bureaus and these agencies and these collection companies and these creditors, then they're just like, do I really want to keep this $1,500 thing on their credit, or do I just want to delete it and get rid of these people? And many times they just want to get rid of you. So I would try that after your 3 rounds of disputes, because you'll be shocked and amazed at how much stuff will start falling off like this once they start getting all of these complaint letters coming in from these agencies and organizations on your behalf. So if you found that this was useful, please give me a nice thumbs up. It helps me out a lot, as well as consider subscribing to my channel because I have so much more to bring to you. And if there's a specific topic or subject matter in relation to credit, or building wealth with credit, or even starting a profitable cash flowing business, go ahead and put it in the comment section below on what you want me to cover in my next series of videos, and I'll be more than happy to do that for you on your behalf. All right, this is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you in the next video.